book of Matthew is split up into 7 sections. First section is chapters 1 through 4, where Matthew narrates the story of Jesus. Second section is Matthew 5 through 7, the most famous sermon on the planet, the Sermon on the Mount. Next section is Matthew 10, where Jesus gives a speech. And then the next section is Matthew 13, where Jesus gives another speech. And then Matthew 18, where Jesus gives a 4th speech. And then his 5th speech in the book of Matthew, in chapters 23 through 25. Final section of Matthew's book is Jesus giving the Great Commission to a new Exodus people that he is forming. What is interesting about those 5 speeches is that they line up with the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, what we call the Torah, or the instruction. It is a light to humanity. This is what it means to have relationship with God. This is what it means to be the kind of human God desires in the world. And this is what it means to bring his rule from heaven to earth. Now, the first section, chapters 1 through 4, is Matthew narrating the life of Jesus, but putting Jesus as Israel. He is fulfilling Israel's story because Israel had not perfectly obeyed God. It had not done what God had said and been the light to the nations. So Jesus is coming and fulfilling Israel's story perfectly. And 7 different times in that first 4 chapters, Matthew actually says, these things were done to fulfill what the prophets had said. He was speaking of Jesus. All the things that Jesus was doing in his life were actually done to fulfill what the prophets had spoken of previously. And then the final section, the Great Commission, where Jesus calls a new Exodus people to fulfill the calling of Adam, which is to take the rule of God to all the nations. So 7 sections in Matthew's book, the middle 5 sections parallel with the 5 books of the Torah, the opening 5 books of the Bible. And what Matthew does is he shows that Jesus is fulfilling not only Israel's story, but all of humanity's requirement to live by God's rule, to bring his rule from heaven to earth.